Let me just introduce everybody. Pamela Brown from Aira, the Swedish company, and Charlotte, welcome, Charlotte Lee from the Chief Executive of the Heat Pump Association. So that's why I held back your question. And also James Beal, who's government representative, Department of Business and Trade, particularly on renewable energy specialty and this kind of focus. Welcome to all three of you. Just picking up, let's pick up on the question right at the beginning about the kind of things that can be developed from this and how it is moving. Pamela.
Well, I absolutely believe that heat pumps are the answer. So that's my view.
You mean air source and ground source heat pumps?
Well, particularly for us at Aira, it's air source heat pumps. So I'll just give a quick intro to Aira. We're a Swedish-based company. We're quite the new kid on the block. We're relatively new, we're less than a year old. We only just announced our business back in June. We have 4 operations right now: UK, Germany, Italy, and Poland. And our mission is really to bring clean energy solutions to consumers' homes. And that's really to electrify heating and to reduce CO2 emissions from people's homes, but also to save them money. And that will really drive the energy transition. Our model is a direct-to-consumer model, and we take out costs by really owning the value chain. So we're fully vertical business, creating our own heat pumps, manufacturing them, selling them, installing them, servicing them, which means we can bring an affordable and accessible solution to consumers with zero upfront cost, which is a significant barrier for consumers adopting heat pumps, and sort of lots of reassurance around comfort guarantees. They definitely work. For the Swedish in the room, obviously, you guys know that they've been working for many, many years. And if I just give you a little snippet, but for the UK, 16% of all of our CO2 emissions comes from residential heating. In Sweden, I think it's less than 1%. 92% of all heating systems sold in Sweden are heat pump based, whereas in the UK, it's less than 1%. So we've got a big job to do here, particularly in the UK, but I believe we can do it. And I think Aira is hopefully a disruptive, pioneering business that can be part of it.
Charlotte.
So it may surprise you with what I'm about to say, in the sense that I don't think heat pumps are the complete solution, but they're definitely a really big one. And I think the government have confirmed that and are committed to that. And the Prime Minister's announcements last week, when you take the emotion out of them, set heat pumps very clearly as a prime source.
Should I just emphasize for those who weren't forensic in their analysis of what the Prime Minister said?
Yeah.
He did say that the grant would go up from £5,000 to £7,500, which is closer to the cost of a heat pump. Even though my understanding, James, and you may want to interject here, is that actually the amount of money available is going to remain the same. Therefore, 5,000 to 7,500 means fewer people will get the grant. Charlotte.
Yeah. So that's right in terms of the boiler upgrade scheme. So the government are supporting CapEx, upfront cost for heat pumps in the UK at the moment to generate that supply chain. But the announcements that were made last week were to delay a phase out for off-gas grid boilers from proposed date of 2026 to 2035, and introduce an exemption of around 20% of houses that would be unsuitable for a heat pump. And that's why when I answered the question at the start, I said heat pumps are undoubtedly going to play a big role in our energy transition in the UK to decarbonising heat. But there are other technologies out there, as you've said, that will also support in that trajectory and in that pathway. And it would be naive to think that heat pumps are right for every single home when perhaps that they're not, or there are some other ones that might suit it better. But in terms of I suppose where we look to go with heat pumps in the UK at the moment, the upfront cost and the grant increase is great, but the budget's limited, as with everything. But I think what we really need to focus on in this country to stimulate that demand and grow the interest is reducing or rebalancing the electricity versus the gas price to make sure that there's cost parity in running the heating systems. And at that point, when you start making the business case that it's financially viable to swap from your existing heating system to a heat pump, then it becomes a much more acceptable, and we should see deployment levels really take off.
James, what's your view from inside government as a civil servant, making recommendations to secretaries of state and ministers about what is possible, what is not possible, and what needs to be achieved to make it sustainable?
Okay. Well, firstly, I'm not actually a civil servant, so I'm a retained specialist. So I don't talk for government, but I can talk about what government does. And you know, clearly we've been clear that low carbon heat, that decarbonising heat is the biggest challenge that we've got as a country. And in particular, when you look at the affordability historically that we've used through gas, and how we've relied on that, a transition into net zero in low carbon heating is proving very challenging. But
What do you mean by very challenging?
Everyone
uses the phrase.
Yeah, well, let's talk about the point that's been made here, that the Prime Minister's announced that next month the boiler upgrade scheme will increase to £7,500 within the designated budget. And everyone said, well, that means fewer installs. Well, actually, it doesn't, because last year we didn't spend all the money that was made available. So what we're trying to do is make best use of that funding. We're trying to stimulate the market to ensure that it's on an upswing.
Can I just put to you, isn't that because actually many people didn't have confidence in the system?
Mm.
They were worried about the grants being withdrawn at short notice and the fact that there wasn't stability and a clear forward path.
I wouldn't think that was the case, because we were clear that it was there for 3 years, and I think we've even extended it to 5 years now. So it is there. We've also launched training schemes, and we've supported more installers to be trained. We've seen on the back of last week's announcement, I think Centrica and others have said they can essentially in some houses install for free. And put a heat pump system in. So we're going to see heat pumps continue to upswing. And actually, if we take Europe, we've seen, I think it's euphemistically called a rebalancing, and they've seen a drastic reduction in heat pump installs last year, while we have carried on. So, you know, the government's committed to heat pumps. It is absolutely part of the solution. We've got a heat pump manufacturing accelerator scheme that closes next week. £30 million to encourage the manufacture in the UK, because what we see in the UK, if we take the gas boilers, you know, we see 4 massive manufacturers in the UK supplying most of the gas boilers in this country, because they understand the housing stock, they understand the installation process. They've designed a very simple and cheap and safe machine to install in your home. And we're seeing companies come forward like Octopus with a simple to install machine they've designed for the British market, that they say is going to be free to install. So we're seeing these upswings, we're seeing these things happen, and we are determined to get to the 600,000 installs a year. And we need this competence and capabilities coming forward. We need people having good systems in their home that are well installed, well designed, well managed, can be operated and maintained efficiently, that friends and family see that they work, because they are an excellent piece of technology.
Charlotte and Pamela, I mean, are you reassured by that?
I was just thinking, yes, James, we need you on TV with the clear, consistent messaging. So I think that that's what we need from government, clear, consistent messaging, exactly as you're just saying there. You know, Rishi talked a lot about them being 10,000, 15,000, 20,000 pound heat pumps. The Aira model is a monthly fee, 0 upfront cost. So it doesn't have to be these expensive prices. As you just said, Octopus, I've had friends at Octopus, it can be free. In fact, with the increase of the bus scheme, in some cases, they might have to give customers money. So I think clear, consistent messaging is what we need from government and policymakers. Obviously, with the...
And I think
sorry.
On that point, that some of the Prime Minister's comments were about the cost of doing the energy efficiency. So the boiler upgrade scheme requires that you raise your energy performance of your house, which actually puts a significant burden onto those houses. We're going through a consultation process that's looking about how we can support through the bus a more efficient rollout. So we're looking at those things, we're taking on comments, and we're going forward. But also, you know, if we go back to offshore winds and the discussions you were having previously, the amount of effort we put in during the noughties to build a framework, to have the right regulations, to have the right structures, to have the right grid connection for all the offshore wind turbines that were deployed to 2020, which was a massive, massive upswing, world leaders. that all came from the pre-work, and we're in that kind of pre-work phase. We're sort of in the 2008 phase, I think, that we saw in offshore wind, in heat pumps and heat networks, and we're going to see that upswing really accelerating.
Can I
Anyone
just
want,
add one-
let me
one
just check if I need to get a microphone to anyone. Please, a microphone here. Anyone else?
I just wanted to make
I'll
one
come to you in a
point,
moment.
Nick,
Please
just
do.
on, it's clear and consistent messaging, but I also think the big thing, and you touched on it there, is like a level playing field when it comes to the cost of electricity and gas. In the UK, the taxes, the environmental taxes on electricity actually are higher than the unit cost of gas. So if we really want to push to electrification, we need this rebalancing of the cost of electricity and gas.
I've just echo that completely. And I mean, we're doing some work at the moment to show what those costs look like and what it does to the running cost of a heat pump compared to a boiler, to move all of the subsidies, to move some of them, to just move the proportion of the they're called environmental and social obligations or green levies from the electricity used to run a heat pump onto gas, because I think we also need to be very mindful of the political landscape going forward, and the speech last week on cost to consumers, and no government is going to want to increase the bills of 85% of its electorate months before a general election. So I think this is a really important ask, but if the realist in me says that whilst we can pump prime and ask for this and get the consultations out, we're not going to see meaningful change for 12 to 18 months.
All right, please.
Hello everyone, my name is Alice. I work for Position Green as one of the members of Swedish Chamber of Commerce, so very happy to be here. Just a quick question. Basically, now with the heat pumps, you're very dependent on electricity, and that is carbon heavy as well in the UK, looking at the current status. Have you also considered alternatives such as district heating? I know that's very common in Sweden, for instance, which result in almost carbon neutral heating for most companies. And how is the demand for that, basically?
Yeah, I mean, that's an important point given the way Swedish systems are designed and the community systems as well, James.
Yeah, so the UK is rapidly decarbonising its electricity network. And what you have got with a heat pump is the most efficient heating technology that's ever been invented, to my mind, and no one else has shown me anything else. So actually, when you're getting 3 times the heat from 1 unit of electricity, that is a very, very decarbonised heating source for your home. So and it's locked in that we are on that decarbonisation path. So we're pretty comfortable that we're going to see a net zero solution delivered in many properties with a heat pump. In terms of heat networks, they are absolutely fundamental to our net zero transition. And as we put in the net zero scenarios, there is no scenario that doesn't have 18 to 20% of heat being delivered by heat networks, and in particular in dense urban areas, because the cost of electrifying heat in dense urban areas, whilst also having EV chargers, is a real barrier. So we've got to make sure there's a balance between them. So it is absolutely part of the machine that's looking about how we go forward with this.
But this is not about reinventing the wheel, is it? That Sweden has enormous experience in this. Therefore, there's surely a lot to be learned. Pamela, Charlotte.
I was going to say, as opposed to sort of the district heating networks, what we are seeing in the UK is a big increase in solar PV uptake on individual properties, and storage capacity with that too. So the rollout of PV plus battery in homes, I think it's at 4% of homes now, which I know is far away from where we need to. But over recent times, and because of the price of electricity that we're finding, people have reacted and have installed that the solar PV, which therefore used to feed a heat pump, both increases its effectiveness and reduces the cost.
That's without government support, because we stimulated PV, and I think this year we're going to see the largest ever deployment of PV without direct support from government.
But there's an important point here. Does it have to be family by family, home by home? In other words, can it not be done more efficiently and cost effectively in a community?
So we're seeing under Eco4, heat pumps are rapidly increasing in their deployment, and the energy efficiency obligation, you know, that allows companies to go street by street. And actually, anecdotally, talking to some of them, they've gone and done 6 houses in the street, and while they're there, people say, oh, can you do ours as well? And we kind of go, well, no, you've missed that boat. You know, so it is about engaging the community effectively in advance, and what we see is a lot more local engagement leading to things happening. Swaffham Priory is an excellent example.
For us with Aira, we talk about clean energy tech as a solution, of which heat pumps at the heart of it, because for the reasons that you described, it's most efficient. You reduce your energy that needed for the same amount of heat, which saves CO2, but also reduces your cost. But when you layer in the other products like solar, for example, battery, you unlock significant savings for consumers. And that's what really we're trying to address that right now, which is how much am I paying today, especially in this climate that we're living in with the cost of living crisis. So I think it's a whole home approach we have to take, and that will help support us get to as many homes across the UK as possible.
And just on the heat networks and doing a more street by street approach, I think there are companies out there that are really keen to look into this and to delve in. And there have been some trials, for example, down in Cornwall, of heat the street type approaches. I don't think the policy framework is as such that it's necessarily supported to the extent it needs to right now. But as James said, in all of the trajectories, heat networks play a significant role in decarbonising heat, and it will get there, I believe.
Let me just get a couple of other questions. Your hand at the back. You have a mic, please.
Yeah, hello, Michael Woodford from White Architecture. I'm an architect, and I recently tried to install a heat pump in my house. I think we've got
How did it go? Yeah,
we've got hundreds and thousands of homes pre-war 60s, 70s in this country that all need to be insulated, windows replaced, roofs. All the radiators would need replacing. So I think the sort of whole home approach that you talked about is really important. And I just wonder how, like, personally, it was too expensive.
So you didn't
that burden plus the burden of the heat pump was too expensive for me. And I'm an architect, so I run a business in London. So
and was that because it was an upfront cost?
It was an upfront cost and the requirements to completely transform my 1930s semi. So
it's such an important point you make, especially for UK housing stock. We just announced the end of August that we now have acquired a company called All Seasons in the UK in Sheffield, and they really take a whole home approach, and that enables us to offer consumers in the UK a solution which is on a monthly basis, but includes if they need an upgrade to radiators, they need loft insulation or cavity wall insulation, we can do all of that. And it is, as I said, zero up front, you're just paying monthly for it.
It's a major political issue in this country. This should have been done 20 years ago. But it hasn't been done, and therefore the cost.
We've got to fix it though, haven't we? We've got to provide a solution for consumers that's simple. And I think that's what you're saying. How do you make it super simple for people? And we believe with our clean energy experts going into the home, we can help specify that for each individual.
You better talk to each other afterwards.
Yeah, definitely.
Special deal.
Hi, Christian from Sigma Connectivity here. It was actually basically the same question. For being someone who has lived in Sweden and now live here in the UK, the houses are terrible when it comes to insulation. So in Sweden, you typically don't have to turn on the heating until the average temperature is below 10 degrees. Here you have to have it on basically all the time, because if it goes down to 15, 12 in the night, the house goes down to the same temperature.
Yeah.
So there's a lot that could be done there. And any thoughts from government, any actions there on how to subsidize the insulation and making the houses?
I need to check, even though the house is terrible, are you enjoying living in Britain?
I do. There are other parts that are great. So
good, thank you very much. Good.
I just wanted to come in on that, because I think the energy efficiency of properties across the United Kingdom is an issue. But I think where the costs of air source heat pumps and ground source heat pumps get exaggerated above the sort of replacing the existing heating system, is that the energy efficiency upgrades that you've both talked about for the houses that you've got, doing that work would benefit any heating system. So in terms of the heat source that you're using to heat your home, insulating, doing the windows, doing the draft proofing, the loft, the cavity wall, what have you, would reduce your heat demand and would reduce the size of your gas boiler or the intensity of that to heat it, as in the same vein that it would an air source heat pump. So whilst it's very, the best practice is that houses are very well insulated to then support a heat pump, because you can size it smaller and it will cost you less to run. Heat pumps can work in very badly insulated homes. They just cost a lot of money. So I think, we need to make sure that when we compare costs and systems, that the home upgrades that you're describing don't get lumped onto the cost of the installation of a heat pump, because that's not necessarily accurate.
Can I just put to you a couple of dilemmas? We're almost out of time. 26 million gas boilers in this country, 600,000 a year. That takes it to what, about 40 years to replace them, with the uncertainty about hydrogen as well. I can tell you from personal experience, like that experience, that if you ask an engineer, would you come and fit an air source heat pump? He'll say, I'll fit it, but I don't think it's value for money, because you only get 70% of the energy. You have to enlarge your radiators. Therefore, even the cost of the the boiler is only the beginning of something which is a much bigger process, the kind of expenditure which most people simply don't have and can't afford.
Well, there's a shopping list there for me, but firstly, we launched the Great British Insulation Scheme, I think last week, with a ready reckoner. Anyone with a property, I think it's below E on council tax, can get a grant to do an energy efficiency. So we're seeing that being rapidly searched and go forward. It's a commitment that we're still trying to do. I think what's really exciting where we are in the heat pump is companies like yourself, Aira, coming in with this new business proposition, a new way of doing things. And if we go back to a company like Ideal, who do gas boilers, Group Atlantic, what they've done is they've now designed a new pre-plumbed hot water cylinder. So actually they can reduce the cost of install by 4 days by putting this system in.
Exactly.
So you might be paying £12,500 today, but actually I see that being £7,000 or £8,000 going forward.
Quickly.
Nick, I just want to say, look, we're a restless company. We don't sleep much, and for all the reasons that you've just described there. So 100%, we want to tackle all of those things. It's innovation in the hardware itself. So having the right, being able to make them smaller, make them even more efficient, user-friendly, being able to install them much, much quicker. We want a Formula One approach to installing heat pumps. Yeah, we talk about it. If you do the same job and you specialize in doing it, you can get it down to 2 days. It doesn't have to be 2 weeks. So it's innovation, we believe. We need to sort of inspire consumers that this is an achievable solution, that ditching your dirty gas boiler and the way of heating your home and switching to using clean air that's right in front of you now, you use it to breathe right here in this room, is the solution to heat your home. And so we need the imagination of consumers and people to bring that dream to life. And we need investment. And I think our parent company is Vargas, which is a Swedish company. Some of you might know them in the room. But, it will take investment from companies and VCs to really kickstart this for the country.
There are many things to build here.
Yeah.
Okay, finally, Charlotte.
I think finally from me, heating is invariably a policy-driven market that consumers choose based on familiarity, cost, ease, and necessity. So as an industry, we need to make it really easy for them to make the switch. We need to make it cost-effective for them to make the switch. And ultimately, the way that we get there, we think, is to support the CapEx as the costs come down with the economies of scale, to make sure the running cost is at least cost parity with what they're already used to, and also to set an end date, to show it's very clear that from this date, you will no longer be able to use your fossil fuel boiler. And it forces the mind into considering and building on where they need to go and how they get there.
That's not what the Prime Minister said last week.
Well, he said 2035.
It was
helpful.
2030. Okay, well, look, thank you.
It was 2026.
All right, look, thank you all very much indeed.